Hello, music listeners, underground enthusiasts, and anybody who's never played their favorite video game. We're doing a weekly tracks list, as you can see. I missed last week's, which is fine, because this week's is better than ever. It's going to be amazing. We're going to have a really great time, so it doesn't even matter that we missed a week. She wants to be in the video so bad, she doesn't know that I'm blocking her when I talk. I don't think she seems to mind. Getting right into it, we have Vaeo, a name that I hope I'm pronouncing correctly, with Go to Hell, and the song takes sort of this pop rock influence from the more hyperactive corners of the internet and applies it with a commendable level of tact. Vaeo finds a nice balance between clean ear candy and some level of edge to make a shiny pop track that maintains some of the bite that lives in its foundation, but doesn't too heavily rely on it to bring it out. The glossy and fast guitar isn't really anything new to me, and neither is the erratic and stuttering percussion that almost leans more so into the field of sound effects rather than percussion, but both of these elements are choices that I enjoy. They're essentially foundational for this genre. The vocals on this are the shining highlight for sure. The strained mid-range rock delivery sounds fantastic, with enough clarity to break through the mix and enough body and impact to feel at home with the instrumental. Vaeo shows off some impressive range while singing about the aftermath of a relationship not ending well, this sort of battle that plays out between people and what happens when things end with more than enough bad blood, I would say, and the general act of, like pointing fingers. It's an energetic song with some great vocals. It really shines and I like it a lot. TV Room has dropped Funtown USA, and this song might be one of the most audible embodiments of whimsy that I've ever heard without completely diving off the deep end into the territory of being corny, because TV Room manages to develop a sonic palette that almost feels carnival and theme park inspired in the beginning, especially being reinforced by this cheery and bliss vocal delivery, borderline jovial at times. But even with this sort of sound and aesthetic, the sense of urgency is never lost in a way. It's bright and poppy, but it still maintains a very grounded delivery, and thematically it blends a lot of dark and light tones. The cut from these bright climbing keys into a saturated and chugging bass line is a pretty great reflection of this concept. Everything lies within this delicate balance of carefree and anxiously aware. It's got incredibly creative production that swells and breathes throughout the track. I think that TV Room has done a fantastic job at using fantastic and exaggerated sound design to present a rather grounded reality that must be faced in a way. I love it. Lilac Heart has dropped Purgatory with saoirse Dream. Lilac Heart has had a really interesting run of tracks recently, the Stalfos EP especially being something that I really enjoyed, being equal parts experimental lo-fi, fuzz rock, and breakcore. But Purgatory takes a path that I would probably feel more comfortable assigning to Lilac in a blind test. It feels much more in tune with the music that acted as my introduction to Lilac Heart's music. The wavy ambience and the melodies paired with the somewhat muted breakcore drums creates a pretty cool environment. The drums are intense and the melodies feel almost gospel-esque at times, but the beginning of the track still feels pretty controlled even with the experimentation that we've got going on here. And when the production explodes, I do think that is when we see what Lilac is capable of as a producer. Lilac has great vocals, and their best qualities are complemented by the abrasive and shaky bass, the shiny keys, and it all works together in Lilac's favor. I love how the song is produced. What can I say? And I think that saoirse Dream fits right into Lilac's sound, providing what I believed an incredibly necessary addition to the track. The sweet airiness of the second verse does a great job at working with the smooth drone of the first. Everything here works together, nothing works against each other. It's pretty great. Nico North and Sewerperson have dropped Fine Thanks for Asking, which is a B-side to the upcoming Elixir project. I considered talking about Vegas, the new Elixir single, due to it having one of my favorite mixes Sewerperson has ever had. It's a fantastic track with great production, but I kind of figured that I would wait until I inevitably did a review for the final album to actually talk about that track. I thought it would be more interesting to talk about a B-side that won't end up on the final project. Nico North samples an unreleased Mac Miller track for the driving melody on the production, and I think that the ghostly harmonies of these vocalizations in the sample work really well with Sewerperson's dry, crystal clear mix. Sewer feels super comfortable on this track. It's 2.5 minutes of him just doing absolutely what he's best at. His flows are clean and mixed with a meticulous level of clarity. They're very creative and personal, and it gives off a bit of a wistful and nostalgic sound. I think that this sort of delivery over Nico's production takes a sound of the past and revitalizes it for a modern Sewerperson. It feels familiar, but not trite. It still feels very new. I love this track, and although it is a B-side and its inclusion in the final project has been omitted, I'm glad that it is available in some form. Nico and Sewer have made a track that, for a seemingly undescribable reason, hits every single point for me. I love it. Blackwinterwells has a new track in the form of I Never Gave Up. This song is driven by this wispy and airy vocal mix that takes up every bit of space in the environment. I love it because this super ethereal sound it produces kind of has a bit of a subtle edge to it, resulting in a super wide mix sounding really cool over the cleaner and more energetic melodies in the production. It's a bit poppy, it's a bit cloud rap inspired, and honestly something that does stand out to me is that 4 different people had a hand in the production of this song, but it still sounds incredibly cohesive. Maybe I'm wrong, correct me if I am, but I feel like the higher number of people there are working on a beat, working on a track, the higher the risk it has of becoming a bit disjointed somewhere in the process, losing a bit of the glue that is holding it together. But the song has a very precise cohesion to it, and honestly, in terms of Wells' recent vocal performances, this is probably one of my favorites. I think that the somber yet still sweet notes fill the themes of the track really well. I love it. Roblox Dude and Jauntsen have a new track called July. They make a bit of a haunting song, honestly. Both of these artists provide such a unique and special energy to their music, and pairing them up on a track was something I was pretty excited to see. I'm familiar with both of their works. Both of these artists take risks and have a pretty sculpted understanding of the music that they create. And on July, this does all feel like it's on full display. The reserved and somber ballad delivery over the soft piano in the beginning slowly builds the energy of the track as these digitized keys slide quietly in the background, the percussion slowly starts to build up, and when the energy finally does reach a peak after both artists do some singing, do some performances, have some great writing on display, the explosion of the cinematic and awe-inspiring synths is beautiful, but I'm also not particularly surprised, because both of these artists thrive on the alteration of structure. They both have an educated understanding of music and the structure of it, and use that knowledge to bend and sometimes even just break the rules. The varying vocal mixes, the impassioned performances, and the ever-changing and beautifully made electronic instrumental makes this song an instant classic for me in this sound, in this genre. For these artists, go listen to it. And then to wrap things up, we have Oddyssi with Black Nails. If there is a single word that I would use to describe this song, I would probably go with charming. The relaxed vocal delivery, these super soft twinkly bells, the dampened and non-demanding guitar chords, the bouncy percussion, it just sounds so good. The way the song is produced definitely takes advantage of everything that went into it. It's like an indie rock song and a cloud pop track got blended together in one of those crayon makers where you can combine colors. I love the writing and vocal performance. The Black Nails, Black Tights melody is instantly memorable to me, and it is incredibly catchy. The song has a generally soft ambience to it. Even at its highest energetic peak, it never strays too far away from the twinkly and personal sound. I'm a big fan of this. And that's going to do it for this week's weekly tracks list. I don't know if there's going to be one next week. I'm going to be in Brooklyn, New York for the weekend, so whether or not I actually make that video is totally up in the air right now. But if you happen to be in Brooklyn the same time that I am, or in the general greater area, then come to Wheelbarrow Fest. It is why I'm going to be there. It is a festival that I am performing at. It's got a lot of great artists. It's going to be a lot of fun. So yeah, come stop by. Show your support for the scene. Have a lot of fun. It's going to be a good time. And with that, I end my week. As always, honorable mentions to the side of my head, where you can listen to other songs that I recommend. I just didn't really have enough to say about them or find the time to talk about them. So that's about it. Catch me in the next video where I change a critical component of this format and pretend like it was always just that way. Bye.